Welcome back to The Grind. In this video, we will be talking about the new Eclipse season legendary dragons that will be coming in 1 week from this video being made. The first dragon is Talariok, and I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but it's a very cool looking dragon, and it is an ice sorcerer and will be 50% off for the first 2 weeks of the season. Now, the dragon's spells are also very nice in game, and the first one is Cold Snap, an active white 1 rage spell that damages towers in a target area for 14% HP and freezes them for 5 seconds, and only has a 1 second cooldown. So this is a pretty strong crowd control spell. Next is Celestial Justice, which is an active white 2 rage spell that allows the dragon's breath damage to deal 180% increased damage for 4 seconds and freezes towers with each hit by its breath attack for 1 second. So this is also a very powerful spell that allows the breath attacks to be actually very effective. And so with the auto battle feature to constantly have your breath attacks going without having to swipe, this will be a very useful spell, and it's only a 3-second cooldown. So more than 50% of the time you can have this boosted breath damage. Next, we have Supernova, which deals 15% of the dragon's HP as damage to nearby towers, and then gains a brief invincibility and restores 3 rage and 20% HP on cast with that 3-second invincibility and then a 5-second cooldown. So that's not really a very long cooldown for the power that this spell offers. And during that time, you are protected from damage, and you can continue to deal that boosted breath damage with Celestial Justice and use Cold Snap to deal with the long range towers like the howitzer and keep them frozen. And finally, Icy Fracture, a 1 rage white spell that basically is a white death gaze that is free if you have 1 rage. It'll deal 25 times the dragon's attack power as damage, and it will restore 1 rage on cast, and you can use it if you have 1 rage. So basically it's free as long as you have at least 1 rage. It does have a 6-second cooldown, which is pretty long, but this spell might be able to destroy 2 towers each time, and so using it twice or even up to 3 times on a long island is still pretty powerful, especially when you consider all the other spells that it has. So for a legendary sorcerer, it isn't that bad, but again, with defenders, sorcerers tend to struggle, but it does have potential, because if you fly it with opening up with Icy Fracture to take out, say, the Earth Flak or Storm Tower, then you can use Celestial Justice, which will deal increased breath damage for 3 seconds to all the towers, and it will freeze each of them for 1 second, so you will be reducing damage that you take from that. And then Cold Snap you can use to, for example, target the back towers, like either an Ice Flak in the back to delay its cast, or a Howitzer Tower to freeze it before the shot hits you. So that'll be very good long range protection from towers in the back like the howitzer. And then of course Supernova, when you get yourself in a jam, your other spells are on cooldown and you're low health, you can just use Supernova, restore some health, restore some rage, and get that brief 3-second invincibility period, and then you can come back out with your Icy Fracture and the freeze spell as well, because you've got a bunch of rage back. So you can see the spells working here with Talariok, gotta get used to that name. He uses the freeze spell on those front 2, then that boost spell, then Supernova, which deals some damage and protects him, and then that damage spell to really destroy towers quickly. So I am very excited to get this dragon. Of course, it's the discount, so I will be getting it. I do think that as the discount, it will be useful for a lot of lower level players, and it does look very cool, as well as the spell effects are pretty nice as well. So I'm looking forward to having this one and flying it, but I don't think it's my favorite of the dragons this season. In fact, ZelNoth is maybe going to be my favorite. The design is really cool, and it is unfortunately not discounted. It is the legendary Dark Hunter. I did just get Calivore as the Dark, and I do think Calivore will be better, of course, but this dragon looks fun as well. His passive spell is called Void Touch, which allows the breath attack to debuff the towers, and then they'll take 30% increased damage. So basically it allows all damage dealt to towers to be increased after you've hit them with a breath attack. It has another passive, which is Start Eater, which basically is like a Steel Essence spell. So if you do not have the Empty Void, which is the next spell, then destroying a tower will grant you the Empty Void. So you have to destroy a tower to unlock his spell, and once you use it and it goes off cooldown, then you have to destroy another tower to get it back, and you cannot load it up until the cooldown has or until the spell has ended. But there is no cooldown except for a brief period from when the spell ends to when you destroy a tower and it loads the spell back up. So what is that spell? The Empty Void is an active white 1 rage spell that cloaks the dragon for 2.5 seconds and briefly slows the dragon. Upon uncloaking, it deals damage to towers, which is of 16% of the dragon's modified HP. And during this cloak, you can cast breath attacks and spells and cast consumables without breaking the cloak. So this is a very powerful cloak. And if you time things just right, you can get the spell back within probably half a second of it going on, or of the spell ending. You have to have a tower ready to destroy, and you have to time it at the right time. And then there is a brief period where it's loading the spell that you can't cast it, but it is not that long. I think 1 second is probably a reasonable period for most players that you can expect to be exposed. So you can cast this very frequently if you have the rage and you can kill the towers quick enough. He does also have Siphon Strike, which is basically another Death Gaze spell. It is white and it is 2 rage. On cast, it will heal 20% HP and only has a 2-second cooldown, which is very, very strong for this spell, but it does cost a lot of rage, so that will be a significant limiting factor. So then you have the final spell is a red spell, which you have to mark a target or monument, and on destruction, it will heal your dragon as well as restore 1 rage. It does have a 5-second cooldown, and you do have to have the red mage out of the way in order to place it. So you have to cast it onto a tower, and then you have to destroy that tower to get that rage and HP back. So this dragon will be a little bit difficult to fly exceptionally well, but it does have potential. So when you come around a corner, ideally you'll have Siphon Strike already loaded, so you can start gaining back that 2 rage that it cost. And if you cast it on the turn, you can have the cloak ready to use in time to cloak the first round of Mage Drain and Ice Flak super shots if you're quick enough. And then after casting it, you can start to unload your ammo on the other towers that you didn't target. And then once you've used the cloak, you will be protected and you can continue to cast ammo, as well as you can use a second round of Siphon Strike to hit the back towers if needed. And ideally, you'll be able to place the mark spell on one of the towers right away so that it's off cooldown before you finish leaving the island. I do think this will be a challenging dragon to fly, so maybe not recommended for a beginner, but for those who excel or want a challenge, I do think this dragon will have some solid potential, especially at the lower tiers, maybe even under 300, 350, especially if you're mostly attacking bases that are only 1 island long. So I'm excited to test out this dragon a little bit and compare it directly with Talariok and give you guys a better idea. I may not be able to get this dragon myself, depending on all the other lines this season, but I do hope that it does fit in a little bit because I would like to have this dragon and the runes, of course. It does seem like quite a fun dragon to fly. So I personally am very excited for this next season. It does look quite good. I do have a Mythic dragon detail video out as well. If you haven't seen it, go check that out. And I will be doing a season structure update video hopefully tomorrow if I get a chance. There are some details that I am hoping to get clarification on through the forums before that time. So keep an eye out for that video coming in the next 1 to 2 days. I hope this was helpful. I hope you're excited for this season as I am. Let me know your first impressions in the comment below, and I will see you in the next video.